It's GG's, man. So I have a YouTube video of my own to look at today. I don't usually look at my own YouTube videos, but I'm only doing it for one thing. So if you guys aren't from YouTube, you guys should go to my YouTube and subscribe. I want to get 1,000 subscribers. That'd be really cool. I'm at like 600 or something, right? I had a comment here and then a string of people commenting under him, and I thought it was funny. So I'm gonna go ahead and explain some things because what this guy said is, "Yo, that probably wasn't the dude's Wi-Fi. It was probably his computer. Wi-Fi connections overall aren't that bad in this game. Dot dot dot. Right. And while there's times where Wi-Fi is not so bad, and there's times where Wi-Fi is pretty good, where Wi-Fi is okay, where Wi-Fi is just as good as wired. There's times. This match shows the two major things when it comes to finding out if you're getting a shitty connection and why in Tekken 8. So I kind of want to go through the match. We're gonna just get to the match and show some things off. So there's five indicators at the bottom of the screen if you're playing a PlayStation. I mean, if you're playing a PC player, they're where the chat is, unfortunately. So I can move chat, but I don't think I need to, right? You guys can see those. RTT, which means round trip time for the frames. Delay frames. Rollback frames. The Wi-Fi or wired connection quality indicator. And the hardware stability indicator, which it shows you where people's computers, Steam Decks, Asus ROG Allies, laptops chug. It'll show you where they start to chug. Now, there's one inherent issue with this. It doesn't show you when a console player is chugging because console players can still chug if their hardware is overheating, right? I think the hardware does a significantly better job of ramping up its FSR quality from FSR like balance to performance or ultra performance if it starts to drop too much from 60, but it can drop from 60. Okay, it happens. Digital Foundry's already done a study on it. You can go find that. You can go find that yourself if you would like to. It wasn't a full steady 60 all the time, and that was in like a very experimental situation where you don't have to worry about so many variables of having your console long too long, yada yada. Same thing with computers, right? So the game runs at a pretty steady 60 for the most part if you have your settings properly. But if you don't, you can experience hitching. Unfortunately, for some reason, my FPS is not showing in the corner. I have it on Steam. So on Steam, it'll show green up in the top corner if it's at 60. And generally it is. Sometimes I'll see it dip as low as like 59, 58. Sometimes I'll see it go above to 61 or 62 during loading screens, even in the hundreds sometimes. So it's a little variable. What you're supposed to do is generally on PC, you're supposed to just lock it to 60. That's the smartest thing to do. But you can tell when there's major frame drops by looking at the far bottom right. That'll tell you if it's hardware, and then right next to it, it'll tell you if it's the connection. And to go along with looking at the connection, you can also check the round trip time. And if it's above 100, it might not be the best experience. So we can go ahead and watch a little bit more of the match. You guys saw that giant stutter. And as that stutter happened, we don't see any instability in the hardware. We only see instability in the connection info, right? The connection info right there, it shows that it went from 4-bar Wi-Fi to 3-bar. And I think the round trip time will change here in a couple seconds to like equate to the same amount of bars, right? So now we're up at 200, right? Just a couple frames after that weird interaction where we can visibly see lag. Right here, we can visibly see lag here. Right there. Right here too, right? Right here, you can visibly see lag. What up, Solari? What up, Solari? How you doing, man? You can visibly see the lag, and then the next frame, or the next few frames later, you can see that the round trip time spikes up to 200 ms, right? The person in the comment section of this video, I'm not here to flame them, I'm here to teach, right? They said it probably wasn't the Wi-Fi, it was more than likely his hardware. As we can see in this instance, it wasn't the hardware. It was actually Wi-Fi. It was actually the connection quality, right? It doesn't have to be that they're on Wi-Fi. It could be that the distance is too far. It could be that there was a loss in packets, even wired. That is a thing that happens. So what I'm getting at here is that all three in the matches were laggy. Whether it was because of Wi-Fi or wired, it doesn't matter. These were very laggy matches. And I didn't make that very clear in the title. This is a clickbait title, and I'm fine with that. I don't care. Get fucked. So if we look later in the match, you can actually see that sometimes this thing is going to turn. Oh, look, another connection stutter. Oh my God. And now we see, let's go back. Now we see it looks like maybe it was a hardware issue the second time. Oh my God. Yeah, it looks like during that, my PC dropped some frames, or at least had some amount of instability, because on the left side, we see that there was it flashed red for hardware info, right? So that means a little bit of frame droppage on my end. This connection's terrible. This is awful. Back up to 150 ms. We see the rollback frames also jumping a lot, right? Which means that there's instability and it doesn't know where to sit the rollback frames at, right? And I think that that's a big part of an unstable connection, is not knowing where to place the rollback frames, right? What is the least variable, right? Down to 3-bar Wi-Fi. At some point, it goes all the way down to 1. Once you make it to Fusion, see, so here we go. We look at the beginning of the match, and we are at 150 ms with 0 bars of connectivity. It goes up to 1. At 170 ms, very, very laggy right now. We're at 2 bars, 167 ms with 3 rollback frames. What up, Abby? How you doing, dude? We see that generally stutters can be caused by multiple things in fighting games, right? And they happen on both players' ends. Unfortunately, this is like a peer-to-peer kind of game. But most of the time, generally the kind of stutters you're going to see are not going to be from hardware. It's going to be from the connection quality, right? And here we see a giant indication of that, because we see 167 and 3 rollback frames. It's not too weird at all, but it blinks red on my end, and I have a 4080. It's weird too. It's not all the time, but it blinks on my end, and I have a 4080 and an i9 10900K, and I'm playing at 1440p. You should probably upgrade that to 900K. Ryzen 3000 and 10th gen Intel are not actually doing that great in this game. I don't know why they listed minimum spec as like a 7th gen Intel, because like 8th gen and down, 8th gen and up is like, there's like something in the subset of those protocols that 10th gen Intel and like, I think it's 8th through 10th aren't doing great. Doing fine, excited for this weekend. I don't even know what's going on this weekend. I hope there's something cool going on for you. Right, and then we'll see the connection spike. Right now we're at 182 with 6 frames of rollback. Generally, another thing is the game won't give you rollback, and the round trip time for the frames won't be high if it's actually frame drop stuttering. My game, Triple XP on Paladins, that's actually disgusting. Holy shit. My game, when playing against someone who's in the 40 FPS range, has a very low round trip time and a really high delay frame. But the connection quality, the actual Wi-Fi or wired indicator, will show you that it's still a 5-bar or still a 4-bar wired or Wi-Fi, right? These are things to think about before you type comments like this, very uneducated, and call out random people for no reason. The first comment said, yo, that probably wasn't dude's Wi-Fi. It was probably his computer. Wi-Fi connections overall aren't that bad in this game. So this was an extreme case of a really bad connection. Not all Wi-Fi connections are this bad. I'll give him that, right? But someone said, yes, they are, which I'm going to go ahead and disagree. I don't think that most Wi-Fi connections is bad. This is probably the worst Wi-Fi connection I've ever had. I'll almost always play a Wi-Fi player once, right? I'll try it. If it's bad, I leave. If it's not bad, I won't leave. If I'm feeling kind of spicy, I'll just play the whole set. I don't really care. Overall, they are not. People's PCs in this game, especially for some reason, play a large part in stuttering and glitchiness. We can agree to disagree. I'm not here to convince you. If you base your opinion off 1 or 2 laggy games or parrot your favorite content creator, you do you, boo-boo. This is very facetious and like condescending. You can just like look at the match and see that it's very laggy. Just look at the screen. Look at the screen and then understand what's happening in this bottom corner. I think the bigger deal is understanding what's happening in this bottom corner is very important. If you don't know what's going on here and you just like see the game and you're like, it's his PC, he's on a potato, then you'll parrot that same energy every time you see a laggy match. But what we see here is that the round trip time is high and the connection quality is low, along with a very variable rollback frames and pretty stable on the hardware info, right? If we see all those things, then we can deduce that generally these stutters are not coming from hardware stutter. They're not coming from potato PCs, which I will say are very, very likely, right? A lot of people are still playing on 2009, on 2013 Ultra Street Fighter 4 fucking toasters. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say they're not. But in this case, we can see very clearly that that does not seem to be the case. And if they are playing on a toaster, they have their settings low enough that generally the hardware monitoring doesn't even notice some sort of instability in their hardware. They're noticing instability and variability in their connection quality. And variability in connection quality almost always comes from either very spotty internet or wireless internet. Wireless internet is the biggest culprit of variability in internet. It's the highest. It's the highest culprit. It's the most common criminal to be charged. Okay, so I don't know if you guys saw my comment. I'm generally not rude, and I don't think I was rude here either. I said, I'm not my viewers. I'm not mean or here to spread misinfo. So if the Wi-Fi bars are acting funky, especially, it's the Wi-Fi, especially if there's high latency. Looks like we see that here. 192 is the round trip time with 6 rollback frames, and looks pretty stable here on the hardware info, right? And then we see, but if the bars on the bottom right of the screen are constantly red, then it's more than likely a hardware issue. So it's mostly his shitty Wi-Fi, but both our rigs seem to be having some issues in this match. Thanks for watching and commenting, right? I'm not rude. I'm just going to give the facts as they are. I hope that didn't sound mean in any way. It wasn't supposed to be. So I just want to use this as a learning experience. I'm not here to flame someone for not understanding how this works. Right? Maybe truly look at that. We went from 4 to 5, back to 6 to 4 to 5 again on the rollback frames, and we're at 206 ms on the round trip time. Those things are not an indication of poor hardware. Those things are an indication of very spotty or bad internet. Just how it works, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just take that shit somewhere else or get very limited matches, right? You're more than likely not going to get a lot of matches with people. Bro, do you guys not see this stutter? This shit is insane. As we see, big stutter there, and now we're at the 240 ms mark, 258, 5 frames rollback once again. I don't think I have to continue to reiterate myself and continue to explain myself. Just start looking at the screen more. Even if you got to go back, say you have NVIDIA Shuttle Play, record it, go and look back, look at the things at the bottom corner before you immediately call something poor hardware or before you immediately call something shitty Wi-Fi, right? It can be a mix of both. It's generally pretty stable when it comes to the PCs. Like, it looks like our PCs are handling the game fine. More than likely, this is a connection issue. And I hate to break it to you, if this is the kind of thing you say, I'm almost certain you're on Wi-Fi, and people are not going to rematch you now. If they see this, if anyone sees your name, AB2 Tall, if anyone sees your name and they watch this YouTube video and they see you on Tekken, they're probably not going to rematch you because they're going to see you're on Wi-Fi, because the only reason to defend Wi-Fi is if you're more than likely playing on it or playing on console, because he says here it was probably his computer. So more than likely, he just wants to shit on PC or shit on wired elitists, right? And sure, do you, but at least have the facts right and understand how it works before making really bad and dumb comments on my YouTube channel. I'm not the one. A lot of people wouldn't give a shit, but me, I'm going to use it as a learning experience. So if any of you are watching this video and you're like new to Tekken or don't understand how the online works and how to determine if something is a bad connection or bad hardware, now you can see that. Now you know, right? It doesn't always work when it comes to console, because unfortunately, when it comes to console, we can't see the hardware info. It doesn't show us. But hardware on PS5 and Xbox can still be at fault sometimes. They can drop frames. If you enjoyed this, if you learned something, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Comment down below on this video, not the old one. Don't go roast this guy. Leave this guy be. It's okay. It happens. At least we could use this as a learning experience. Comment on the next video. Comment on this one right here that you learned something. That instead of being upset that people are calling out Wi-Fi or calling out bad hardware, that now you know the difference and can accurately discover if you're playing against someone with a potato PC or potato internet. This has been Beanie Thuggish talking about commenters not understanding the difference between bad hardware and bad connections, whether it be Wi-Fi or wired. Signing out and saying